Hey guys, and welcome to the 6th Ranger. I had to put out this video today because I've literally just finished watching Power Rangers Dino Fury episode 14. Now, I have to say, despite the fact that it may have potentially maybe already been spoiled in the title of this video, but there is going to be spoilers moving ahead in this video, so if you don't want to know the details of what happens in this episode, or potentially in Dino Fury in general, then you can leave this video now. If you're not bothered about spoilers, or if you've already seen the episode, then let's talk. So, this episode was, of course, the episode that we've all been waiting for in Dino Fury, and that was bringing back Lord Zedd. Now, personally, I'll get it out of the way from the beginning. I was very disappointed. Now let me expand. I wasn't disappointed with everything that happened in this episode, but I was disappointed in how they used Zedd. And also the lack of explanation for how and why he is what he is. So, the episode starts with someone trying to steal some stuff from the Void Knight. The Void Knight runs along and says, you know, who do you think you are? How dare you try and steal from me? To which the person rips off a cloak and reveals themselves to be Lord Zedd. Now, my first reaction was, oh boy, does he look chunky. The costume was very thick. It's almost this over-the-top, larger-than-life, almost comical, oversized costumes that they use for the monsters these days. They kind of just made him blend in with them, I guess. But then, I'm not going to lie, it did take me by surprise a little when he suddenly ran forward and seemed to have all this mobility inside said large costume, which did take me by surprise. Overall, though, I think Zedd looked good. I would have preferred a little less thick version, but yeah, he did look cool. He still looks menacing, not quite as horrifying as his debut back in the day, but he still looked good. He still looked like one of the coolest, if not the coolest Power Rangers villain ever, so no complaints from me there. Now, the voice. If we hadn't already had a Lord Zedd voice, sadly, let me just check this. The actor who played Lord Zedd initially in Mighty Morphin through to In Space has recently just passed away. So we didn't get Robert Axelrod's voice, sadly. Just checking that is correct. Yes, Robert Axelrod. So he did voice Lord Zedd in Mighty Morphin to In Space, and he had an extremely iconic, deep voice that was not only menacing, but also worked great with the comedic lines. Now, this new voice for Lord Zedd, if it was a brand new character, I would have been very happy. You know, he sounded cool, he sounded menacing. They had a slightly mimicked tone, so they were clearly trying to slightly mimic the original Robert Axelrod voice, but it wasn't the same. And that was a big miss for me, but they tried their best. What more can you do? You're never going to beat the original. So, a little bit of a shame there, but it could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. As for the things that Zedd did and Zedd said, again, I'm okay with how he moved. His actions were quite Lord Zeddy. The way he spoke, not talking about the voice now, I'm talking about the actual dialogue. The way he spoke was a little strange. I mean, Lord Zedd said the word nincompoop. I mean, I got ripped into for my previous reviews on the start of Dino Fury for basically ripping into this show for being what it is. And I totally get that. I get that, yes, this is a kids' show. I get that that's the audience it's aimed at. It's not aimed for adults, aimed at adults. And yes, I am an adult that watches Power Rangers. I shouldn't be ripping it apart for not pleasing me because I'm not the audience. I watch Power Rangers out of nostalgia. I love martial arts, so the choreography is always pretty cool, and I love the designs and the world. If you know my channel, you know I'm more of a comic book fan than I am a show fan, but again, I do find sometimes watching those scenes, especially when you've got a menacing villain like Lord Zedd, saying words like nincompoop, I do find it hard to watch. That's just honest. Like, you can carry on ripping into me for basically ripping a show that's aimed at kids apart for being a kids show. I get it. But yeah, it could have been better. My biggest gripe with this episode, however, is the lack of explanation for how and why Lord Zedd is Lord Zedd and not his human form that he was left off as after the finale of Power Rangers in Space. It's explained in the episode. We get like a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of explanation of the world for the new Ranger team. They look into this legendary Ranger database, and it explains a backstory showing Lord Zedd arrive and him turning Rangers into kids and all this sort of stuff, which I believe was Master Vile anyway, if I remember correctly. But anyway, we do all that, and it even shows the audience the fact that the end of Zedd's time as a main villain, he wasn't actually defeated as he was turned back into a human, a good, normal human. So why show that and then not show us why he is suddenly a villain again? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The other thing that I want to point out, which I'm not sure if you guys picked up on this or if I'm just mishearing stuff, but during that actual, I guess, backstory for Zedd, it shows Alpha in the command center talking to, I believe, Zordon, and it seemed like they actually voiced over Alpha's original voice. And I think potentially they did the same with Rita as well. Now, I was scratching my head a little bit wondering why they would do this, and I'm pretty certain that was the case for Alpha. I'm 50-50 with whether they did it or not for Rita, but the only thing I can think is if they are going to bring Alpha 5 back into this show and have a different voice actor. So, for continuity's sakes, they revoiced that original footage. I don't know if that makes sense, and I don't know if that's likely, because we do have descriptions for each episode that's still yet to come, and there's certainly no mention of Alpha. So, I don't know. If I'm completely wrong, I may have just been mishearing things. Let me know. But yeah, that was a little bit of a head-scratching moment for me.
They won't even know they are the Power Rangers!
Finally then, the way the episode ends, all the way through I was thinking, I cannot believe they've brought Zedd back to be answering to somebody else and basically being number 2. I didn't like the way Mighty Morphin ended with Lord Zedd being, you know, second to Master Vile. I liked Lord Zedd being the Emperor of Evil, the big bad of Power Rangers. And I hated even seeing him going into Turbo and Zeo, where the Machine Empire were there, for example, and he was always below them. No, he's the Emperor of Evil. He is Lord Zedd. He should be the coolest, the baddest, the evilest villain out there. So when they brought him back and he was straight away number 2, I wasn't particularly happy. However, it was revealed that that was, again, spoilers, due to a collar that Zedd was wearing. Now, once the Blue Ranger destroyed that collar, he did kind of become, let's be honest, pretty badass. He kicked the crap out of some of those Sporix beasts, which was great, and then he vanished. Now, I'm not going to lie, again, I did assume that Lord Zedd would only be back for one episode of Dino Fury. I don't think he will be back in this season, but they've clearly done that, leaving it open-ended, so if the reception to him being back is big, which, leading up to it especially in the YouTube community, everyone was doing videos on it, everybody was talking about it, so if they feel that fans enjoyed Lord Zedd's return, I'm sure they've left it open-ended, so if they want to bring him back again, they can, without any complicated revival or time-traveling storylines. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, I guess. As for the episode as a whole, if Lord Zedd wasn't in it and it was replaced with some generic Monster of the Week type character, it would have been a pretty standard, kind of boring episode. The theme of the episode was Halloween, so the Rangers were picking costumes. At the end of the episode, they all revealed their costumes, and the one thing that bugs me is the majority of them weren't even scary. I mean, one of them was dressed up as an astronaut, and Zato dressed up as a knight. Halloween is supposed to be a horror holiday, right, where you dress up as scary characters. I feel like that gets lost too often. But that's not a gripe with Power Rangers, that's a gripe with Halloween. So, yeah, overall it was okay. It ended with a cheesy, classic Power Rangers message of, you know, the only thing to fear is losing your friends, I guess is the message. And it's also it's not wrong, there's nothing wrong with showing that you're afraid of things. I guess that was the message of this episode, which again is a great message, but doesn't need to be one to learn or to hear as an adult. But I know, I'm getting carried away again. It's not an adult show. Shut up, Jake. Okay. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble on for, I don't know how long this has been now. Too long, probably. We've got a little setup going on here. If you haven't noticed, it's different to where we normally set up. I thought it makes sense to do it here rather than in front of our other filming wall, filming studio, I guess, because that's mainly for the Lord of the Rings channel. We're in a new office, and I have began setting up the wall to display my Lightning Collection display. So I thought it looked pretty cool. It's a shame it's so high up on the wall, so it doesn't quite work camera level wise. But on that wall then, I've still got all my helmets, some more figures, some Megazords, and some bigger display pieces that wouldn't fit on those shelves. So I'm working on it. Hopefully this was a bearable display for you, at least for this video. We'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come here and listen to me rant about Power Rangers Dino Fury. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. For me, it was average, though I did enjoy seeing the Lord of Evil return once again. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a great day. May the power protect you, and I will see you next time on the 6th Ranger.